Hi and welcome back to another episode. Okay, so today I will be doing a video covering the gearbox removal on my Alfa Romeo 3-litre V6, the GTV. Now in principle it should be the same for the Alfa 156 V6 and also possibly the GT. So yeah, to remove the gearbox first you do need to remove the subframe. If you haven't already done that, then I have covered videos for you. Just check out my playlist for Alfa GTV restoration. Okay, so I'm removing my gearbox to check out a suspected leaking rear main seal. I also want to replace the full clutch kit. I want to replace the top hat bushings on the gearbox and also the shaft seal as well. So obviously I don't know what's going to be wrong yet until you actually get in there. So yeah, I'm making this video for your benefit. Now guys, those who have already subscribed to my channel, I just want to say a massive thank you for all your kind words, support that I've received over the past few months. It's been really appreciated. Thank you very much indeed. Now, the majority of my views and my videos are not yet subscribed, so if you aren't yet subscribed, then please do that. Also click the bell icon, that way you'll be notified for when I post a new video. So yeah, without further ado, let's get straight into it. See you shortly. Okay, now before we begin, the first tip, which most people do know, if you are going to replace just the starter motor in the future on its own, it can be quite a bit of a job, quite labour intensive just to get it out. So while you're doing this, it's strongly recommended to either get your starter motor serviced or replaced. You don't want to be coming here again if you can help it. So you've got 3 bolts holding on the starter in total, one just here at the bottom, which is nice and easy. You've got one a little bit further up, again that's not too difficult, and you've also got one around the back slightly towards the top. That is the most difficult one to remove. The way I did it is with a 6-inch extension with a socket on the end, and you can do that without too much trouble at all. Now obviously, as you can see, I've got my rear bank manifolds removed. If you can do this, this will make your life a whole lot easier, and everything is a lot more accessible. Okay, just one thing to note, to remove the gearbox you don't actually have to. If you don't want to remove the starter, you can just unbolt it. Also bear in mind it won't be as low down as this. It's this one that's actually dropped down a little bit. It will be situated a little bit higher. Okay, so your linkage is held on with these little clips. If you remove that clip, then the linkage will pop out like so. And then on the end, you've got the little ball joints. These do just pop off. It pops off in that little ball just on the left there. And once you do that, you can just pull it away and pull the whole linkage out like so, nice and easy. Same with the other linkage, just pop it off the ball, and then you can also remove the clip to remove the linkage, but instead I just removed the bracket from the gearbox. No particular reason, it's just the way I chose to do it. Okay, so that's your linkages removed. Very easy job. It won't be difficult at all whatsoever, and now I know exactly which one goes where. Okay, so you've got one electrical connector just here, little clip on the side of it, just pop that off. Okay, now your clutch slave cylinder, you should be able to remove a circlip, and then the slave cylinder should slide out, but mine was completely seized on, so that's something I'll have to tackle later. So I just literally unbolted mine at the bracket and lifted it up out of the way. Okay, you've got to remove this earth cable from the front of the gearbox like so, and then you need to remove this crank sensor away from these brackets like so. And lastly, you just need to remove 2 little clamps holding the cable to the starter.
Okay guys, for this next bit what I've done here is I've made some more wooden cribbing to support the engine with some nice big butcher's block on top. Now each of their own, but personally I'd rather do this than leave the engine supported solely on a jack. So yeah, the idea being is there's a few mil gap between the sump and the block, and what I intend to do, as I've got here, I've got the gearbox rested on top of the jack, and when I loosen the gearbox mount on the far right hand side, everything will come down and the sump will sit on top of the cribbing just nicely, and then I can move this jack away. Now yeah, just in case you're wondering, the block on top of the jack, yes, that is all screwed together, it's not loose. So yeah, I do feel pretty confident about everything, so yeah, without further ado, let's crack on with it. Okay, so that mount is now loose, so what I'm going to do is just carefully lower this jack and let everything rest on top of that cribbing. Very, very carefully. That's the bolt just dropped out from that mount. Okay, very nice. So the next thing to do is loosen all the bolts holding the gearbox to the engine, and then pull the gearbox out. Sounds easy, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, now first and foremost, safety is absolutely paramount for me. I just need to feel good about what I'm doing, so I made this wooden jig, if you like. Basically just strategically placed blocks at the back of the bell housing, at the front of the bell housing, rested the diff on the plate, and it's all screwed into place, and then strapped down with a ratchet strap, and also the plate is secured to the jack, so it's all going nowhere. So yeah, that is what I did. Okay, so removing the bolts from the bell housing, you've got 3 along the top, you've got 3 along the front of the bell housing, and the top one is an Allen bolt. Okay, now to get out the bolts at the top of the bell housing, personally what I used is a 3-inch extension with a swivel joint on the end, which makes it a lot easier. And then also the same for this one. Now you can actually remove the little circlip on the end of here and pop this little arm off. Otherwise you can do what I did, and again just use the swivel connector, and that comes undone very nicely. Okay, so we're just at the point of splitting the gearbox from the engine now. All the bolts are undone, so in theory it should just slide straight off, but we shall see. Nothing is ever straightforward. I've enlisted a little bit of help from this ugly looking fellow. He's turning to the side because he doesn't want anyone to see his company name on his overalls where he works. But yeah, he's let's say, what are you, Chris? You're an engineer at a certain expert
in taking this gearbox out. Give me the biggest hammer you've got.
He's an engineer, that's what he does, but I actually asked him to bring me back a few tools that he borrowed, so while he was here I said you can give me a hand for an hour. It works that one pretty well. So yeah, that's what we're going to do now. So Chris, should we get on with it?
Let's crack on.
Come on.
I think it will just... yeah, there you go. Oh my god, that's...
huh?
I'm only joking. I'll tell you if you're clear. Well, you can see it on your camera, can't you? You're clear to lower there now.
Yeah, it's just this cable at the back.
Yeah, you're well clear. Lower that beauty down. Nice and dirty in there for your Rick to clean up.
I think. So there you go.
Success. So now you've helped me with a job. What is it you want from me? You've brought tools back, but you also want to take more tools away. What do you want?
I want your axle stands, I want your jack.
Yeah.
I want tyre remover.
Is there anything else?
Probably.
Do you want to just make a list and give it to me?
No, I'll just pick up stuff as I walk around.
It's a cheeky bastard. Anybody else got friends like that? You lend them stuff and then you have to beg for them back, and then when they bring stuff back they take even more with them. That's who he is. Okay guys, so there you go. Gearbox is successfully removed. Just a quick inspection. I do have, or seem to have, a lot of sludge, oily sludge inside the bell housing of the gearbox. I thought it could be the gearbox seal, shaft seal, but it looks quite dry behind there, to be honest. But nevertheless, I think I'll be replacing that. Just a couple of pointers. I did have, or what I thought I had, all the bolts removed from the bell housing, but there was just one here around the back of the engine, located just underneath the starter motor. You need to remove this one too. Also, again, something else that was fouling the gearbox from coming off is actually a flywheel protection plate on the back of the flywheel at the bottom. You need to remove that too. So yeah, that's pretty much it really. Another thing to note is, in case you're wondering, all the bolts around the bell housing, or the rest of them rather, are the same size, so there's no worries about that. Okay, so what I've done is put all the bolts back in for you, so you can see exactly where every bolt is located and how many there actually are. Just one other little tip, I would actually remove this little bracket off the end of the gearbox because it fouls on the bodywork when you're trying to slide it back. So yeah, get that one removed. Okay, so that job is successfully done, or at least removal of the gearbox, that is. So yeah, lastly, I'd just like to say that, you know, I was a bit apprehensive about removing the gearbox on this car. I have done gearbox removals before, clutch jobs, but never on an Alfa Romeo. But there's nothing to be scared of just because it's an Alfa. They're pretty much all the same way. If you've done one gearbox, you've done them all, pretty much. Or that's my opinion anyway. I have known from day one that I've had a bit of a very small oil leak between the engine and gearbox, so I have suspected a rear main seal since I've had the car. And while absolutely everything else was off underneath, this was just a good time to get it done. I was going to leave it for a later date, but it just doesn't make sense when I've got everything off and everything was accessible. It just didn't make sense to leave it. It's just counterproductive really. So I've bit the bullet, taken it off. So in the next episode I'm going to remove the clutch and the flywheel and check out that rear main seal, and hopefully everything is going to be okay, but I do need to investigate a lot of oil coming from above the flywheel as well on the engine block. So yeah, pretty happy with my little wooden jig. Safety is paramount, but yeah, it did a fantastic job. Really pleased with that. So anyway, I shall see you in the next episode. Thanks very much for tuning in. Bye bye.